Hey everybody, it's Darrell Gurney with the Back 40 broadcast, where we meet you right where you are every week to support you in creating your second half of life as your best half of life. And if you're just joining us for the first time, we may have some new viewers on today because Alexander just did a totally kick butt interview this morning back on the East Coast, and just lit up the phone lines. And so we hope we were able to get our message out to y'all quick enough today so you could join us. And look, the Back 40 message and community is simply based on two premises. The first, like Frank Sinatra says, the best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? And also the conviction that you have yet to do what you came here to do. That's what we're here for. We have yet to do what we came here to do, and we're clear that you have yet to do what you came here to do. And every week at this time, short little 15, 20 minutes during your lunch hour, maybe take a little break in your afternoon if you're on the East Coast, and join us to give a little nugget or a nudge to support you in creating your next half as your best half. So anyhow, again, thanks for joining us today. First, I just want to see who's out there with us today. So if you can jump in and just put in a comment, go to the comment box, let us know who's here, type in your name, say hello, tell us if you're calling from West Coast. Well, you're not calling actually. Tell us if you're here from the West Coast, East Coast, where you're coming in from today. Because we'd love to welcome you and just get my little things going here. By the way, I don't know if y'all listen to the words of the song that we always start with, and I'll try to remember to put it on again today at the end. But it's called It's My Time. It's a song by Paul Hoffman. You can find it on iTunes. It's My Time. And it says, it's my time to let the world know that I can stand up and declare just who I am. And that thought inspires us. And we hope it inspires you. And I would actually recommend that you actually go get the lyrics of that. You can Google it. It's My Time by Paul Hoffman. So we have Alexandra here. We have Alicia here. So go check out that song. It's very inspiring. Paul was great enough to give us license rights to use that for all of our work. So we're really enjoying that every time we get to play with it. So let's talk about what we're going to discuss here today. We're going to take the broadcast a different direction today. That's right. We're going to talk about directionality and how all the little choices that we make throughout our day impact the way our day goes, the way our life goes. I don't know if you caught the quote there at the beginning of the broadcast there, but good life is a process, not a state of being. It's a direction, not a destination. I'm sure many of you have heard the thought before that it's the journey that counts, right? It's the journey. So today we're talking about directionality and where we're heading in our journey, and specifically, we're going to talk about how that impacts the Back 40. I mean, the things we're bringing up today impact everyone, and specifically as people head into their second half of life, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and beyond. I think it's really, really important that we look to see where our thoughts are going each day and become conscious about those so that we are not ending up somewhere that we're surprised where we ended up. So in other words, a lot of times I think we make little choices throughout the day that we're unconscious to, and then at the end of the day, or in a certain place mentally, or in our mood, and we wonder how we got there. So first off, put a comment in. Let me know, what do you think directionality means, or what does directionality mean to you? What does that term directionality mean? Who has a thought on what directionality means for you. So I think I'm throwing y'all off because you're not typing fast enough. I'll give you a sense, and again, I think we've already kind of discussed it, but I want to ask you a kind of funny question too. That's going to sound silly, but I'm asking it to make a point. Who can tell me an unconscious choice or two that you already made today? Oh, okay. So we're going back to directionality. So Alexandra says having a vision of the future and a guide on my journey. Okay, cool. Oh, and using that as a guide on the journey, having a vision of the future. Okay, cool. Any other thoughts on directionality? Or my kind of non-answerable question is, who can tell me an unconscious choice or two that you made today? See, so again, going back to what I was saying earlier, I think throughout our day, we're making choices that we aren't conscious to, and yet those choices start to build up. And it's kind of like a plant, but below the surface of the ground, it's not visible, but there's stuff going on, right? Like you plant that seed, and then it's going to get nurtured, and it's going to have water, and it's going to have the nutrients from the soil, and it's going to start getting bigger, and it's going to bust open, and then, through the amazing acts of nature, something's going to start growing out of that seed, and it's going to start coming above ground. Well, I think, or would ask you to consider that things happen in our day, and we make certain choices, and those are just little seeds. And if we're not conscious of them, and we keep making similar choices, then that starts to form something that then comes above ground, and then we see it. And it's like all of a sudden we're in a mood, or all of a sudden we have a certain disposition or certain viewpoint or perspective on life or our life. And all of a sudden it's there, and we don't know where that came from. And again, as I said, in this second half of life, one of the things we have to deal with in the second half of life is our wisdom, and having been around, been there, done that, and all that carries with it. Because therefore we make these choices. Let me just give you an example, so this isn't all theoretical. We have a wonderful, wonderful person helping us with our technology around the back 40 and the programs that we're doing. Her name is Karen at Spark It Networks, and she is amazing. And I'm not going to say how old she is because I don't know. I think she's older than me, and I'm not going to say how old I am. You can probably research it. But the point being is that she is a goddess around technology. Every new thing that comes up out there, she's on top of it and using it, kind of the way you would expect like an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old. It's like, hey, they're not afraid of things. It's like, oh, it's a new thing. They adapt to it quickly. I can fall into, and by the way, I do these broadcasts for me, and I write my weekly newsletter for me, just in case you wanted to know. But I can fall into, ooh, I don't know, new technology. I don't know, I'm not that good with new technology. And I can fall into that without being conscious that I'm making that choice. And therefore, it starts to create a reality in me, as opposed to playing. In the back 40, we're all about playing. Try stuff, get out there. Don't be stuck in the who you think you are or who you've grown to know yourself to be. Because if the whole first half of life was just research and development, you really don't know who you are yet. You've just been doing R&D. You've just been doing research and development to discover what you're really here for, to really uncover what your real passions, proclivities, and tendencies are. So let's look at this a little bit, okay? So we can take it into your life. Let's look a little bit at what choices we're making. So, and again, I said, what little choices have you made today? Maybe they're not unconscious, but are you aware of any little choices? Maybe someone said something to you. And we all have this internal voice. And a lot of times we're not conscious of the internal voice. It just lives with us and it tells us what's so. And so did someone say something to you today and you noticed this internal voice, this internal response going one direction versus another? In other words, they said something that you could take that, hey, they're not being nice to me, or they're being a jerk, or something like that, or they're criticizing me. You could take it like, wow, this person's really wanting to contribute to me. Now, that sounds Pollyanna, right? And it sounds like you're rationalizing. But, at the end of the day, what do you think is going to make you feel better in terms of a choice that you can make in that situation? What about a challenge that came up in your work or your relationship or even your family? You could see it as a hassle, or you could see it as perfect for where your family needs to go, or where the relationship needs to go, or what's going to create more fulfillment in your work. Did a problem come up? And you could see it as a problem. You could also see it as an opportunity. One of the things that we talk about in the Back 40 and in our Infuse program is the idea that, many people see midlife, or the things that come up in midlife, as a problem. The divorce, he ran off with a younger woman, or she ran off with a younger guy. Hey, it happens. The red Corvette, the financial devastation, the total distaste for the career or the job that you've had for the last 20 years. We could see those things as a problem, or we could see them as opportunities and wake-up calls. And we actually advocate in the Back 40, there's no such thing as midlife crisis. There's only midlife opportunity. There's only the opportunity now that we've woken up to move on to what's our greater yet to be fulfillment. We say you have yet to do what you came here to do, and the first half was just R&D. So how can you make yourself wrong for being in a classroom for the first 40 or 50 years of life, right? So another thought here is one of the psychologists that wrote a whole lot about aging, and he talked about the stages of life. I invite everyone to go do some research on that. As we move into our 50s, 60s, 70s, we may not be conscious of the choice that we are making, but there is a choice that we're making of generativity versus stagnation. And when I say, or when Erickson discusses generativity, there's a choice for more life and more joy, more contribution, and or a choice that we can all relate to, because we know certain people, as they get older, they get more set in their ways, more fixed on what they will do and won't do, their beliefs. The world gets smaller. And we believe that if you have yet to do what you came here to do, and if the whole purpose of life is the second half, if that's where the fulfillment actually comes, and the first half was just setting you up for it, then can you afford to stay in a small mind? Can you afford to stay in your fixed ways of being? And of course, a lot of our work is supporting us and our participants to get outside the ideas that usually keep us there. Like, we get very risk averse as we get older. We don't want to try things because we may not look good. We may not do it right. And 20-year-olds don't worry about that. They have nothing ahead of them but trying things. So a couple of things I'd like to throw out for us to consider playing with this week around the whole idea of directionality is start becoming conscious of our internal voice. Start becoming conscious of little choices that we make. I mean, just Here's an example. I could be walking down the street and I can see a homeless person. And I could go into sadness. And I could then go into guilt that I'm not stopping and doing more or giving more or whatever. And it could just, it's there, but we don't take the time, or if I don't take the time to recognize that, then that could start to shape my mood or start to shape the direction my day is going. As opposed to, if I am conscious of it, I could send a silent little blessing. I can just send a blessing that way. That might make me feel a heck of a lot better. I mean, I can stop and give money if I want to. And I can also just send a blessing, and you could say, oh, that's rationalizing. Well, you know what? If I have to rationalize throughout my day to make sure that I stay in the happy place where I'm going to be of more contribution and service to others, I don't think that's a bad idea. So get a buddy to play with this week. Get a buddy to play with for accountability, because these all sound like good ideas unless we actually commit to doing it and playing with it. And we want this to be a game. So create a game of finding 4 times a day when you made a choice. If all we come out of this week, folks, is just more consciousness of the little choices, then that says a lot. And I'm not saying that we make good or bad choices, just for us to become conscious of the choices that we're making. And just look to see what direction that choice is heading. Is it heading towards more life and more joy and more openness and contribution? Or is it heading towards smallness, playing safe, avoiding risk, and staying small? I'll give you a perfect example. And this is, look, I told you, I write my Back 40. And if you definitely go to theback40.com, sign up for our weekly newsletter, because that's what has the inspiration that we talk about here on the broadcast. But recently facing this choice of playing big again, investing in a new home, as like, is it the right time, and are we prepared, versus hey, we've done our homework, we've talked to lots of people, we've got our numbers in order. We've consulted with people to get lots of different ideas and thoughts on this. We got a lot of support behind us on this, and there's always diving off, because who knows what tomorrow will bring, right? But it's like, am I going to choose, what happens if you lose your job, or this happens, or that, and everything, and then that goes a particular direction towards believing that the universe is going to start closing down, or making the choice that, universe keeps providing, keeps opening up, and making the choice that, of openness. So again, look for yourself this week to see what directions are those little choices heading. Follow up with your buddy and share, and post what you see on our Facebook community, The Back 40. We do invite you to go to our website, theback40.com, see what we're doing, look at our membership programs, look at our upcoming Infused program in November 4th through the 6th. And we just really appreciate the time that you give us for 15, 20 minutes here on Wednesday to be with you, because it's y'all and us creating this second half as the best half in community. And I'm going to play a little bit more of Paul Hoffman's song here so that you can hear it before we check out. Thanks again. Make sure you come back again next week. We'll see you then. Keep living life radically.
Inside of me, it's telling me that I can be a bit more of who I am. It's a power that says open up to the passion in me. It's a call to rise that's calling me to wake up to what I want to be. It's my time to claim my destiny. Time to let go, get ready to fly. Open my heart and reach for the sky. Starting the day, I know the reason why. There's nothing I Stand up and declare just who I am.